Sash saw. Lineal sticks of sash vinyl are loaded onto the tracks and held into place by the gripper. The material is then cycled through the machine where it is cut to the customer's size requirements, notched, and drilled to allow for keepers to be installed. The team member then takes the cut pieces and punches a weep hole in the upper interlock and lower lift rail to allow water to escape. The upper and lower lift rails are punched to remove the corners on the lift portion to allow movement when installed into the frame. Stiffener bars are then inserted for sash hardware to be securely fastened to the sashes. After the parts are cut, punched, and any hardware is installed, they are kitted in a cart. Frame saw. Like the sash saw, material is loaded and secured by the gripper. Material is transferred through the saw and cut to the customer's size requirements. Installation holes are drilled into the frame before the cut pieces are pushed out of the saw. The parts are then dropped onto a conveyor, which leads to the punches. The team member punches the balance holes for installation. The pieces are then moved to the balanced installation table, where the team member will insert and secure the balances with screws. A traveler is also attached to the jam to clearly identify what unit the pieces belong to. The parts are then kitted into a cart. Sash welder. The team member cycles the welder and loads the sides first. Then loads the parts at the back of the welder before loading the front. After all parts are loaded, the team member cycles the machine and attaches the traveler that identifies what unit those parts go to. The welder clamps the parts into place, and then heat plates travel between each corner. They heat up the vinyl to soften or melt the material. After the material is soft enough, the welder then retracts the heat plates and presses the corners together to create the weld. Sash cleaner. The team member loads the welded sash into the cleaner. The cleaner then cycles knives to trim the excess vinyl on the sash corners. Holes are then routed out at the top of the sash for tilt latch insertion. Meanwhile, the team member inserts pivot bars on the bottom side of the previously cleaned sash. Pivot bars are necessary for installing the sash into the frame. Lock station and glass setting. Pivot bars are inserted on both sides of each sash. After the pivot bars are secure, the set of sash are moved to the lock station where the lock is installed. The team member secures the sash into place and positions the lock on the sash. Another team member then inserts screws to fasten the lock to the lower sash. That team member takes the set of sash over to the glazing rack where they will trim any pieces of vinyl on the inside of the sash that were not completely removed in the sash cleaner. This allows the glass to sit flush against the sash when it is installed. The team member will then apply setting blocks prior to setting glass. The team member then applies double-sided adhesive, also known as glazing tape, to the inside of the sash. The blue backing is then removed so the glass will adhere once it is set in the sash. Glazing and sash to frame. After the glass is set in the sash, the glass setter team member will pass the sash down the glazing rack for the sash to frame team member. The sash to frame team member will get the next frame and set it on the sash to frame rack, insert balance covers, head expander, and slope sill adapter. The team member then walks to the glazing rack, grabs the glazing bead, and looks over the glass before installing the bead into the upper sash. Glazing bead snaps into the sash and protects the glass edges, thus securing the glass into the sash. Once the bead is installed, the team member installs the upper sash into the frame. Labels are applied to the upper sash before the team member returns to the glazing rack to bead the lower sash. After the lower sash has been beaded, the team member installs the lower into the frame and applies one more label before placing the completed unit on the shipping rack. This then completes a retro or replacement window.